Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show. Joe with the blown out collar on the t-shirt. Sorry about that. Just getting back from the beach and ran across a story that I wanted to share with you guys. Have you heard about the story of the sheriff in Culpeper, Virginia, who's charged federally with handing out sheriff badges in exchange for bribes? You probably haven't. Hey, look, folks, I'm running on borrowed time right here. It's only a matter of time. I just cut off the AC in the shed. We're under a heat dome, heat advisory here. It's 93 degrees, and it probably feels like every bit of 100 and something right now. I'm just getting back from. As a matter of fact, you can read it right. Excessive heat warning. It also only feels like it's 101. So. Really, we're doing okay, but forgive my appearance. I know I'm probably looking a little sunburnt. I probably am. Just getting back in from the beach, like I had mentioned, and wanted to share this story with you guys. Now, I had saved this story a while back. This is, I think, a month-old story, but still one that I find very interesting, and I hope that you guys will as well. Headline that reads, Sheriff took over $70,000 in bribes to make people deputies in Virginia, feds say. My goodness. When I first ran across this story, I thought to myself, damn it, Joe, once again, you have missed the mark. You have missed a golden opportunity for something like this, I guess. You've missed a golden opportunity. Could you imagine me coming on a video letting you know Joe from After Prison Show, now a fucking sheriff's deputy? Folks, it could have happened for the low price of just what appears to be $5,000. Your boy could have been a bona fide sworn in auxiliary sheriff's deputy in Culpeper, Virginia. And I thought to myself before even getting into this story, like, damn, man, could somebody who was potentially a convicted felon like myself, not potentially, I am, but could somebody who was, maybe a convicted felon have paid this low price of just $5,000 to become an auxiliary sheriff's deputy? What does that even entail? Is that an investment that you could potentially be making? Like, do you get put on the payroll? Because if all I got to do is pay you $5,000 and I become an auxiliary sheriff's deputy for Culpeper, Virginia, do I get a paycheck for that? I don't necessarily know. If any of you know any better, does an auxiliary sheriff's deputy get paid? Please let me know down in the comments section. And also, what would y'all have thought if I could have done this? I could have been out there arresting people, for God's sakes. But again, getting back to the thought of could a convicted felon have partaken in this bribery, I think this story is going to illustrate that one maybe actually did. A sheriff in Virginia gave badges to people accused of paying him thousands of dollars in bribes, making them auxiliary deputies without making sure they were properly trained, federal prosecutors said. Culpeper County Sheriff Scott Howard Jenkins is accused of encouraging the bribes and letting the accused bribe payers know they could carry a concealed firearm in any U.S. state after being sworn in as an auxiliary deputy, according to court documents and prosecutors. Holy shit balls. Not only would I have been able to arrest people, I could have carried that fire pow right there on my hip in any state concealed. He took more than $70,000 in cash payments and campaign contributions from at least 6 people, as well as 2 FBI agents working undercover. Some bitch. It's always going to be somebody undercover setting you up that's going to ruin a good thing. And, before I get too far ahead of myself here, nobody should be accepting bribes and all of that hoopla, but I'm just saying, for me personally, this could have been the revival, the chest compressions right here on After Prison Show. Joe from After Prison Show, now a sworn police officer. Oh my God, I can see the implications now. HGTV, A&E would have been reaching out to me, giving me my own TV show. We could have been doing Cops. Could you imagine the ride along with Joe? Yeah, what's going on? So, I've been a beat cop. for, just a little while now. Hold on. We about to pull this. Woo! Freeze! Get out of the goddamn car! Could have been something. Pull over! Actually, that's probably a horrible analogy to use right now in relation to the police. For any of you OG APS Army members, you'll know what I'm talking about with the whole pullover thing. Anybody else would be like, God damn, Joe, that's in poor taste. Haven't you seen the truck driver that just got the dog released on him? I have. I've been following that story intently. Jenkins, 51, and 3 others, Rick Tyreek Raheem, 55, of Great Falls, Frederick Gumbiner, 64, of Fairfax, and James Metcalf, 60, of Manassas, are charged with conspiracy to exchange bribes for law enforcement badges and credentials and other related charges, prosecutors say. So, look, let's just be real here. Had I known about this taking place prior to all the shit hitting the fan, I'd have been indicted too. I'd have been indicted too. And that for real would have been the chest compressions on After Prison Show bringing this bitch back from the dead. Not only did Joe become a brief police officer, he's also federally indicted for bribes to a Culpeper sheriff. Probably going back to prison. The Back to Prison Show. Some things are worth the risk. Getting bitten by a dog, potentially. Bribing a cop and getting a badge and basically a get out of jail free card and a license to carry that fire pow pow on your hip. Scott Jenkins not only violated federal law, but also violated the faith and trust placed in him by citizens of Culpeper County by accepting cash bribes in exchange for auxiliary deputy badges and other benefits. Jenkins has served as county sheriff since 2012. He's actually up for re-election right now, even while being federally indicted. A 38-page indictment filed in federal court on June 28th outlines the conspiracy in which Jenkins, Raheem, and Gumbiner and Metcalf are accused of taking part in. According to the filings, Jenkins passed off many cash bribes he accepted as payments for firearms and created fake documents in support of the fraud. He allowed Raheem, Gumbiner, Metcalf, and others who weren't identified or charged in the indictment to receive Culpeper County Sheriff's Office badges and identification cards upon appointing them as auxiliary deputies. In regards to Raheem and his deputy appointment, now here's something crazy. Jenkins also helped him restore his firearm rights in Culpeper County, even though he didn't live in the county. Yo, if you helping somebody restore their firearm rights, that probably means they a convicted felon. I'm just trying to say. When Metcalf wanted to obtain his sheriff's office badge, he expressed his interest in doing so to a person only identified as individual 1 in the indictment. Jenkins had an agreement with this individual who is accused of helping recruit others to offer bribes to Jenkins in exchange for becoming auxiliary deputies. On September 11th, 2019, Metcalf texted individual 1 saying, "I'm ready to pop a little cash on someone and get a badge, brother. We'll talk about that at lunch." In August 2022, Metcalf agreed to contribute $5,000 toward Jenkins' re-election campaign and was later sworn in as an auxiliary deputy in September of 2022. The charges against Jenkins and his co-defendants come after the Roanoke Times reported on April 12th that the FBI had recently seized a massive $10,000 from Jenkins' campaign account as he is set to run for re-election as sheriff in November. I wonder if he's going to win re-election. I will definitely be keeping an eye on that campaign. Very crazy to think that for a mere $5,000, folks, any one of us could have been a sworn-in auxiliary sheriff's deputy. I ask, would it have been worth that to you? What could you potentially have done as an auxiliary sheriff's deputy? Clean up the streets? Do the job that the police don't seem to be doing? Look at San Francisco, for God's sakes. I'm just trying to say, this world is a muck. And who knows, maybe if you had to go an illegal, illicit route, such as bribing a county sheriff to become a sworn-in auxiliary sheriff's deputy, maybe you could have turned that wrong into some right. Sort of like Joe when he was in prison. Joe rights his wrongs. Has a nice little ring to it, if you ask me. Folks, I'm very curious to know what all of you have to say and think about this story. Let me know. For $5,000, would it be worth it to you to become a sworn-in sheriff's deputy? Or better yet, would it be worth the risk of a federal indictment? That one weighs a little more heavy than the $5,000, just gotta be honest. Anywho, sort of sad to know that I missed my calling and my opportunity right there, but you know, I think that stories like this probably happen more often than actually make the news. There's probably plenty of sheriffs that are super corrupt. We see these stories all the time in the news, and I imagine more times than not, it's the ones that don't make the news that really illustrate this happening more times than we could ever even imagine. That it's probably not that hard to become a sworn-in auxiliary sheriff's deputy in a small little podunk town somewhere. Sort of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Anywho, hey, that's all I got. Just wanted to share this story with you guys. Really interested to know what you have to say. Hope this was a video you enjoyed. If it was, please leave a like and a comment, letting me know exactly what you thought about all of this. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace!